Hi, how are you today? Good, I hope. Wow, it's really cloudy. Maybe we're going to get some rain, some good veggies here pretty soon. Um, I've been reading more of history, and I'm discovering that the history that you learn in school is only an overall whole look at it and is bereft of details that really mean a lot. I checked this book out at the library, The Forgotten History of America by CORMAC O'Brien. Now this is chapter 6 on page 95. The English steal a colony and gain a metropolis. This was in 1664. And this first paragraph I thought very interesting. New Amsterdam bustled with panic in the hot August air. From the gappled homes off Heerweg, later known as Broadway, to the boisterous, pungent tap rooms along Pearl Street, people worried and speculated in dozen languages. English gunboats had appeared in the harbor amid rumors of an invasion. What would happen next? Bombardment? All-out war? Do you know who New Amsterdam was that they're describing here? I didn't know. I had to read the whole chapter to find out. It's New York. Now here's the man that was supposed to help England take it. It's hard to show pictures on this thing. Peter Stuyvesant. An old veteran's obstinacy. The foil for England's plan played his part to the hilt. Upon receiving Nichols' demand, the Director General of New Netherland prepared himself for the ultimate sacrifice. Since the 1630s, Peter Stuyvesant, now in his 50s, had been a devoted employee of the West Indian Company. And now I'm starting to realize that they have a different name now too. Even churches changed their name to hide their history and what they've done. After starting as a clerk, he had worked his way up through the company's ranks through hard work and conspicuous discipline, and was made governor of Curaçao in 1643. There he had led a daring, if unsuccessful, attack on Portuguese St. Martin, during which his leg was carried off by a cannonball. From the Caribbean to the Chesapeake, he had fought for the United Provinces, later known as the Netherlands, and not for nothing. Now in the face of overwhelming force, he would stand defiant. There would be no capitulation. After all, he was Director General, and Director General doesn't make history by surrendering. Stumping along the bastions of his tumble-down fort, he looked out upon the mongrel population he was sworn to protect. They hailed from all over Europe, and some from beyond that. There were Jews, Lutherans, Catholics, Calvinists, and atheists. Settlers from the United Provinces lived alongside Germans, English, Scots, free and enslaved Africans, Swedes, and French. This, he muttered to himself as he paced, is what comes from free trade. See how long it's been around? It had been the West India Company's idea, not his. He would have preferred a structured society of Dutch settlers and company employees, all marching to the same drum and, more important, worshipping at the same Dutch Reformed Church. Could this be part of the meaning of what a Black Dutch is? My question was that. When he had first arrived 17 years ago in 1647, New Amsterdam, New York, had been a filthy cockpit of disorder. The new Director General set about turning it into a proper outpost of civilization. He enforced the removal of trash from the streets, outlined new building codes to alleviate the town's vulnerability to fire, gave Manhattan its first hospital, and organized a nascent police force. He fostered local industry, turned the town into the continent's entrepot for the slave trade, and presided over a healthy rise in population. By 1664, around 1,500 people called New Amsterdam home, 3 times many as when Stuyvesant first assumed office, and most of them looked upon their Director General, or governor, more as a tyrant than a leader. Why? Because he had brought structure, security, and definition. What they needed, cleanliness, and efficiency, he had given it to them. And all he had ever wanted in return was obedience. Prosperity had made the people, these myriad people from far-flung heretic lands, brash and ungrateful. And they whined and chafed like children, demanding freedoms they didn't deserve. And he, as father figure of an outpost on the edge of chaos, was forced to bear down and do his best, follow his righteous instincts, even if those instincts worried the company itself as well as the citizens of New Amsterdam. He knew better than his charges, and they would have to suffer for it. They had wanted religious tolerance, local government, and popular representation. And he had come down hard on non-Calvinist faiths, particularly Quakers, and dismissed the town's council. He had demanded strict observance of the Sabbath and absolute obedience to his governance. All of this, he believed, was his responsibility. Now the reborn society that he'd worked so assiduously to build was about to be taken from him by brigands from a renegade power. Who were they kidding? Did anyone seriously think that Peter Stuyvesant was going to lie down over something like this? No, it was time for fire and brimstone. I suggest you read this book in this chapter. It's got so much details in it. It kind of shows, in a way, how and back when our religious wars that it still goes on today in America started. Well, he didn't make it through. But he finally left it, but he came back. And right at the end it says, as for Peter his name is really hard to pronounce for me. Stuyvesant, he couldn't stay away from Manhattan forever. He eventually returned, thrived as a farmer, and converted New Yorker, and died peacefully in 1672. Oh, and there's another interesting one about how our religious wars started and the false preachers, and had to tell who they are. So, I'll get back to you later, God willing. Prayers for you good people, and prayers for you wicked to open your eyes and repent of your evil wickedness before it's too late. Have a great day or night, wherever, whenever you are. Later.